What's up, everybody? Welcome back to CK Café. Hope everyone is doing great. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're so excited to be back with some more episodes. We have a lot of wonderful guests, and to kick things off, we have the amazing Nory, who is a fantastic artist, producer, writer, rapper, just overall creative genius. We are also joined by Eduardo Machado, who is Nory's creative director for his album, Fuck That, This the Rhythm, which is out now. You can go ahead and stream it right now on Spotify, Apple Music, all the platforms. So go check it out. You can check out all the visuals that Nory and Eduardo made together online on Nory's social media accounts on YouTube. It's a wonderful conversation. I'm so excited to talk to two just unbelievable creatives, and I think you guys are going to really like it. So enjoy my conversation with Nory and Eduardo. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to CK Cafe. Today, I am joined by two incredible creatives, and I'll let them introduce themselves because they're going to do a better introduction than I ever could. But we have Eduardo and Nory. What's up, y'all?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Can y'all introduce yourselves to the audience?
Yo, my name is Nory. I am an artist based in New York City. From Miami, I make a blend of hip hop, electronic, rock music. I love to perform, and my favorite color is yellow.
Yeah, the color is great. Eduardo, now we need your favorite color too.
Damn, I need to think about my favorite color. My name's Eduardo, born and raised in São Paulo, Brazil, based in New York. I'm a filmmaker, make films about music, about belonging, about personal independence. And I've been Nory's creative director for this album rollout, and it's been a journey, even if it's Nory's acting in my films or if I'm creative directing his album art. It's been a journey. And my favorite color is orange.
Okay.
Good colors.
Close.
Good colors. Oh, man. Well, thank y'all both for hopping on. I'm so excited to talk about, both of you as individual creatives, but also about this rollout that y'all are doing for your brand new album. Nory, can you give me, normally we have filmmakers on and we talk about we ask people to give their log line for their film or whatever. Can you give me a little bit of an idea of what this album is and what you were trying to create sonically?
Absolutely. So I moved to New York City 3 years ago this month, and having moved here from Miami, my main goal was to grow as an artist and perform a lot and expand my horizons musically. One of the main ways I accomplished that, or have sought to achieve that, has been through performance. And being in New York City, I think it's one of the few cities in the whole world where you can perform like as many shows every day, being on stage in front of people all the time. And as I kept doing that, I grew tremendously as a rapper and as a band leader and just as a personality on stage. And eventually, there began to grow a discrepancy between the energy I had on stage and the artist I was on stage and the music I had out. So I desperately wanted to find a way to represent my artistry on stage on Spotify and have a body of work that actually can, represent the artist that I am and have grown into. So that's where this album started. I met up with my now roommate, Near, who at the time was a good friend, and he's a phenomenal producer. And I sat down with him and explained to him my desires, and eventually, I put together myself and my band into a studio for a couple weeks, and we jammed and improvised a bunch of ideas. Then we recorded these ideas, and that's what the album, which is called Fuck That, This the Rhythm, has become and where it came from. And it's a blend of hip-hop, rock. It's a blend of electronic music, and it's really this refreshing funk. Yes. It's this refreshing melting pot of all these sounds that I discovered myself through on stage in the city. And it's really, for me, a new chapter for my career. And obviously we'll talk about all the ways that that statement is true. But musically, it is a testament to the experiences that I've had in New York City performing
That's
relentlessly.
beautiful, man. I mean, yeah, I met you when you were fairly new into the city, and I remember your energy and your excitement to just like get on stage and perform and make music and meet people. And, to see where you are now, 3 years later, is pretty insane. It's just
Mm,
wild because you were already incredibly talented. I didn't really think, so how could he get even better at this music thing? And somehow this new album is just the best thing that I think you've been able to create, because it finds a way to mix everything you've done with things that I didn't even know were possible in a song.
mm,
And it's really just such a fantastic project. So Eduardo, hearing
thank
that
you.
from Nory, and knowing this, going into this project from a visual component, how did you kind of say, I want to go with this specific look for the
Mm.
visual side of this? Because I do feel like one thing I love about this album is what you've been able to do visually. I think you've been able to translate it, and I think that's so helpful, especially these days where people live on social media and they need content and they need to see quick clips and all this stuff. It's just you've done such a good job of adapting it into a visual medium. How did you come up with this concept and the look and the feel and all of that?
Thanks, Ethan. That means a lot to me coming from an artist like you and a filmmaker too. Um, I feel like as soon as I heard the album, I knew what it was about. Had all these visions in my head about, film references and TV and painting and photos. And Nory came over and we were just talking about like how this album needs to be represented. And we were like looking at all these posters I have in this room, thinking about like how does he want to be perceived, you know? And an important thing is to be consistent in social media, to know that this album is different so that people know that like there's effort, there's purpose, there's meaning behind everything we do. And that's what we were behind. We were behind, okay, what are the feelings behind this song? What are the colors, the palette behind this song? There are basically three different vibes in the album, and we sought to like kind of make them all connect to each other through an emotional and a thematical thread. And originally, I wasn't supposed to help Nori with this, but as soon as I heard the album, I was completely, like you said, I was overwhelmed and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I can't believe I know this guy. And when I met Nori, it was like at a school classroom and he would like introduce himself. He got my phone, he pulled out his Spotify and he like got my phone from my hand. He followed himself and he liked every single album that he had out. And I was like, who is this guy? So my first impression wasn't the greatest, but I knew from the get-go that you were talented and that you were gonna become something. But I think it was when I finally heard the album, I was like, I need to be involved, and it's not only because I want to be a part of this, it's because I feel like the world has to hear this album in a certain way and have these emotions
Yeah.
attached to this album this certain way. And I feel like I could help you bring this into fruition, And
Mm,
it's New York and it's like, you're an artist in New York and you're working with a budget and people and you're depending on
Yeah.
other people and I felt like I'm someone that Nora can depend on regardless of, like if we're gonna do well, of money, of anything, because I really relate with the artistry. It really inspires me. So I just needed to do
Totally,
it.
totally. I get that. And I feel like as filmmakers or as visual artists, like sometimes when you have that like urge where you're like, I need to make this thing, nothing else will satiate that feeling. You just need to do it. You need to go out there
Absolutely.
and get it. It's the same with music too, like it's
Mm-hmm.
just that feeling artistically when you have that fire burning, it's impossible to ignore it. And it's amazing, what I think you both have done is not let budget or not let locations or any of the like harder administrative producerial kind of tasks take away from not just, forget about just like quality, but overall just like artistry. And I think that's something
Mm.
that is super important to highlight, because I think people who love independent art and make independent art have that struggle between money and art, right? And it's that constant battle back and forth, not just making money with your art, but also getting the money to make the art, right? So how have y'all worked with, limited budgets to be able to create this stuff? And how have y'all been able to not let budget sort of affect the overall product and tone and feel?
That's a great question. I'll my answer for that begins with the fact that I'm so used to not having a budget for anything. And so for the last like however long I've been making music, that's just the way I'm doing it. Like having a budget is strange to me. And so there was definitely a budget in this, and it was definitely small. But I had made some money from a gig and was like, I will devote all of this towards the promotion and creation of art for the album. And so when Eduardo and I sit down and come up with ideas, I think what we try to do is not think of money at all. And then eventually, when we have to cross that bridge, like say we have this interesting VFX idea or CGI concept with Reel that we want to do, but obviously that would cost thousands of dollars to do. But we don't think about that until we have to find a way to work around it. So it's very important for me, at least, that the ideation process is not inhibited by the logistic or financial obstacles. Which honestly, Ethan, you've when we've worked together, you've helped me with that a lot, at least in formulating ideas, because we've planned ideas together as well. Not all of them have worked out or reached the finish line, but I don't know. I've learned so much from just that process alone.
Now that you're saying that, I remember us sitting down and just being like, well, you were like, oh, what if I was walking like 5 mean dogs on the street in slow
It
motion?
sounds like
I
a
was
Nory
like,
idea.
yeah, and it's like we have all these ideas that if we had a budget would be amazing, but they're there, they're in the drawer, they're in the
That's it.
vault, and they're not, yeah, they're for the future.
Right.
And I think I have a very producer mindset from filmmaking, so I can tell Nori like what we're able to do and what we're not able to do. And for example, if he gives me an idea that's like too ambitious for right now, I try to get that idea and I try to translate it to what is possible
Yeah.
for us at the moment. And I think from a technical standpoint, being also the cinematographer and producer of all these visuals, I think keeping a small footprint is essential. So I developed a kit, like a camera kit, an equipment kit, where it's not a lot of things. It's like very super small and minimalistic, where I don't need an AC. I don't need a lot of people in
Sure.
my crew because I can just do it all by myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's something that I think a lot of creatives have had to get really, really strong at. How can I do it myself? But I think the
Right.
problem that I see a lot is people try to do it themselves, but don't put the effort and time to learn how to fail and then how to succeed, right? Because I do think I agree with
True.
y'all. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, you both have a shorthand, and I think Nori even. I mean, I think all of us, even when we've worked together, all three of us in the past, I think there's like we've developed a sort of communication with one another that we know how to be able to say, okay, this is the idea, this is the reality, and this is the product, and we have those expectations. But I find that a lot of creatives struggle to get to that point where they can actually create the product that they envisioned, even with no money, because it's always going to be compromise. I think that's just art in
Mhm.
general. Like art, when you're making the product of art, unfortunately, there's always some sort of compromise. It's nor you in the
Mhm.
studio. I'm sure you're like, at some point, this would be great to have a full orchestra here, and you can't. Yeah,
He does have a
you
full
sort of, yeah,
orchestra
you
in
do,
his
you do.
concerts.
That's true. Your concerts are pretty insane, but like I
Thank
think
you.
we as artists always want a little bit more. We want to be able to color in these thoughts and ideas in our head with like a million potential possibilities, but yeah, it's the bringing in the reality to it is a hard pill to swallow, but also a necessary one. And you both have
Hmm.
done that in such an extraordinary way with this project. So kudos
Wow,
to both of you,
thank
Thank
you.
you.
truly. One thing I love about the content you all are creating is that it's not just focused on the quote unquote music video, the full length sort of visual, right? Instead, it's hyper focused on a visual of sort, but it could be a video that ends up being a music video. It could be a lyric video. It could be reels, whatever it is. But every content that you all the bits of content that you all are producing are geared or tailored towards a certain thing. How have y'all come up with the idea of where things are going to go? Where, like, how have you said, okay, this is something that's perfect for Instagram, or this is something that's great for YouTube, or this is a really good thing for my Spotify canvas when it's ready? What has that decision making process been like, or has it just been we're gonna just film a lot of things, we're gonna get these concepts and then just shoot it and then see what happens?
It's a great
No,
question.
yeah. I think it's a bit of
Honestly,
both.
yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely a bit
Sure.
of both. There has to be a level of spontaneity in our workflow because we can afford to be that given that the team is
Yeah.
so small. And Eduardo and I, essentially what we've done logistically is we've planned our filming based off of the release schedule of the singles that I've been working through and also through the aesthetics of the songs. So when we approach creating the schedules for all of how we're going to accomplish the visuals, it was pretty much thinking about the different worlds that these songs live in because some of the songs fit together in a more rock aesthetic. Some of them are more in a hi-fi dance electronic world. Some of them are in a very like hip hop world. And so once we categorized, essentially, it helped us classify what worlds we wanted each of these songs to live in, which then obviously informed the logistic approach of scheduling and location scouting and figuring out the color of every song.
Yeah.
I would say the main pillar to like this question has been Eduardo's ability to help me organize these thoughts. Eduardo has put together a comprehensive visual deck before we ever even shot any of the songs. That has been super helpful because it created a visual language that we didn't have before. It's essentially like a slideshow, but it has all of the mood boards, colors, fonts,
Yeah.
textures of the album that I had floating in my head, but Eduardo codified through this deck. Then per shoot, Eduardo created a call sheet that also had the aesthetics that we were going for. Once you have those things in place, it allows for a more spontaneous approach of like what the content will end
Yeah.
up, to actually
It's
be
like jazz,
successful.
right? It's like you need to know the rules
Hmm.
before you break the rules, right? So it's like I think
Exactly.
Hmm.
with filmmaking, especially like indie run and gun to some degree. I know obviously y'all have shot in like studios and whatnot, but to some degree there's still an element of like that run and gun mindset. I think like,
Absolutely.
having a base to work off of is such wonderful advice to other creatives too, because I don't think there's a reason for not creating the art you want to create. Like I've always felt like individuals who don't make the thing because they don't have the money or they feel like they don't know anybody or they don't have the resources, to me that feels like a little bit of an excuse, because I do believe if you can organize your thoughts, if you can figure out what you want to say, it's always possible. Is it gonna necessarily maybe look like us, the largest thing that's ever been created or the most expensive thing in the world? Maybe not, but that doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, like
Hmm.
the things that y'all have been creating look like they're shot for 10, 20 grand. You know what I mean? So it's like they feel very
Oof.
strong. Truly. No, they really do. Like I have a lot of projects that I've been so thankful to work on, and CK as a company we've worked on that are larger budgets. And I have felt that sometimes that
Hmm.
look, I'm like, I don't even love this as much as the thing that I made that was $1,000, with my Black Magic or
Hmm.
my phone, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think like we oftentimes equate more money with a better look, but that's not always the case. It really is
Hmm.
about the organization of it all. Because even if you got
Mm.
$50,000 for your album rollout, and that's all the money that's going just to content creation. At the end of the day, if you have nothing organized, what was the $50,000 for, right? So I think what y'all are
Right.
doing, it's going to set you up, hopefully, for the next project, whether Eduardo is working on it or not, because I'm sure he's going to be working on a million other projects as well. So, because I know you got a lot coming up.
Yeah.
But I think there's like you're setting the base and you're setting the standard of how you want your content to be. And I think Nory, you as an artist, that's why you're gonna excel into this world of music, because I think you're one of the few artists that are doing that, caring to get the team together and say, I admit I don't know how to do this thing. Help me do this thing. Let's do this together, and I
Yeah.
think it's a big part of it all. So
Totally.
Totally. And you
Totally.
touched on something that I think I learned, and it was a key factor in just being a part of this whole process, which is this run and gun thing and this limitation as an opportunity. You have a small crew, and that allows you to do so much more than like a big production would. So you have to see these limitations as opportunities. And if you want your album rollout or your vision to look like Euphoria, like, dude, I'm sorry, but like it's just not gonna look
no,
that way.
yeah,
I think you should you should study what you have, so yeah, you can find an aesthetic inside of what you can do. And if you try to imitate the big guys with what you have, sure, you might get close, but it's never going to feel
yeah,
the same. But if you go for something something unique that you can do with what you have, that's new. And even compared to the big guys, 'cause like limitation is the biggest opportunity, If you sit down, like in music, to make an album and you're like limiting yourself to like 5 instruments or 4 instruments, that's kind of freeing. That's
yeah,
kind of like you have a direction. And that's how I feel about
totally.
filmmaking, even if it's money. Like, I know a lot of these shoots was just me and Nory out on the street, just walking and just like, would be cool to shoot there, would be cool to shoot here,
Yeah. But that's
So,
it's such good advice and such a good reminder to all creatives. Don't look at these things as something that's holding you back, but instead look at this as an opportunity to create something interesting. I mean, I don't know. I think I love putting limitations on myself. I love actually saying like, this is what you have to play with, whether it's financially or this is the gear you have to play with. Figure it out. How do you make it look great? How do you make the feeling that you are trying to convey come out on screen? Because that's when your artist's brain is working. If I had $150 million every time I make something, I think I'd get lazy, to some degree. And I think that's why people don't like the big studio movies or even massive
mhm.
artist projects. I think that oftentimes is why people have that sophomore slump, right? Because I think people
Mhm.
get too comfortable.
And they have people they have to
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
So it's like everything's catered for the producers, for the EPs, for the studio,
A hundred
So
percent.
it's so freeing to like the only one I have to cater to is Nory, and we came up with the
Together.
vision together. So I know what
Yeah.
he wants.
So, with this whole rollout, the plan is obviously dropping pieces of content throughout a series of time to make sure that you can, really promote this project the right way. What do you hope the reaction is with this content? Because I know when we create content for social media, there's sort of this like instant gratification that we want, which is that like first few comments, people saying fire emojis or this shit's gas or whatever, and that feeling is great. I think as artists and as creatives, we want people to love our work. We hope people enjoy our work. But then beyond that, there's obviously the promotional side and hoping to reach new people that you've never seen before, hoping to create new fans, hoping to grab your existing fans and turn them into diehard fans. So what's the goal with this content? Like, what do you really, really want to come out of it? And what do you want to come out of this album in general?
I've made peace with the fact that virality is out of our hands, and it really is, it is out of our hands, and it's up to the universe,
Yeah.
algorithm, deity, whatever, to really do. So having made peace with that, what I always thought is like, the most you can do is the most you can do. Like you can't, as if we're creating content in music that is exceptional and stands out from the heap of shit that's constantly being shoveled down our faces. If we're doing that, to me, it's a success, and whether it catches on virality or not is sort of not the point. I think for me, the main goal has always been to signify a leveling up, a advancement of
Yeah.
quality that I haven't reached. For people who come across my profile or fans who have already been connected with me, to know, okay, this is another level. This is where we've reached that next point. We're
Mhm.
no, like, there's a level of intentionality and direction involved in what we're trying to do, whether we're faking it to make it or not. And we're not. It's genuine, but it's like, really, for me, the goal has always been to create a before this album and after this album Nory in the career.
I think in the end is artistic fulfillment. Like that's what we're looking for. As a filmmaker, I don't think of these visuals as content as much as, this word gets thrown around because I don't want to be making content. I want to be making
Yeah.
art. And I feel like each reel, each visualizer is its own form of art. And I've been just thinking that if we put everything we have into these videos, and they might go viral, they might not, but they fulfill this part of our brains that's like, I did something that matters, I did something unique, I did something new in the world. I'm not copying anyone. I'm celebrating music, and I'm like putting visuals to music, and there's a lot of artistic
Yeah,
fulfillment
totally.
to that.
Totally.
And I think
Yeah.
people forget about that because now it's all about the likes and the engagement of it all. But I think it's like running a race, like a marathon. Like you're not gonna be the first one to make it, but you have your own race that you're running with yourself. Is the mental challenge, and that's the same as the artistic pursuit of fulfillment. And I think what we can seek as artists is to fulfill that artistic need.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I completely agree. I think we live in a world of quick content and attention spans and all that, but we lose sight of art with that. When that's the goal,
Right.
you lose sight of the art. Because I think there's a world in which it all lives together, right? And I think like it's totally okay to make content and do that stuff. And Nory, I know you've done that before on TikTok and doing vlogs, and like that kind of content is cool. But also when you're creating something like this with so much effort goes into it, so much detail goes into it, you don't want it to just live as that piece of instant gratification for both people, for the consumer or for the artist. You want it to live as its own living, breathing art organism. So I totally feel
Totally.
you there. And I think, yeah, there has to be that sort of line. And I think all artists need to heed that, because whether you're a filmmaker, musician, theater maker, painter, doesn't matter. Like the content we create online still has to be a representation of ourselves artistically, especially when you're putting in effort like y'all are doing. So, yeah, it's a beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'd like to add also, going off of this point, I think one of Eduardo's greatest strengths, and like the thing that I've benefited the most from working with him, is his honesty.
Sure.
That's because
Eduardo's,
I roast him. I have the guts to roast him when he's. That's why.
yeah, he does. And he keeps me in check.
Keeps you humble.
And Eduardo's, he does, and I'll dive a little deeper into that because it's a reflection of, I think, a greater thing. But Eduardo helps me stay on track and keeps me in check, obviously artistically, throughout the process of these things. Because as the artist, I get in this state of anxiety sometimes where I'm like, I need to release this shit now, and like no one's watching. It's not, it's not doing like the fucking million streams, whatever, that we're like told to believe is the
Barometer for success.
sign of
Yeah,
success.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Eduardo's always like, bro, calm down. And he helps me like breathe through all of this. And yeah, I think that's like been his greatest strength for me, is and through all of that,
Oh,
maintaining
thanks,
the
bro.
integrity of the artistry. Also, when it comes to creating the stuff, I think I sometimes like want to cut corners out of
Sure.
habit, or like don't want to do the extra steps sometimes because it's annoying. Whatever that means.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
doing the makeup every time before we
Yeah.
shoot
Yeah.
or something, all of these things that Eduardo's always been like, no, we have to do it. And I agree with him every time in the end, because the little bit more you do is always going to pay off at the end, and you'll forget about the work and the
Mm-hmm.
tiresome experience of doing some of the more laborious tasks, but they're always going to pay off. And I think because of Eduardo's experience in filmmaking and working with limited resources to begin with, but having an ambition that requires a lot of work, there's always been never a doubt in the product
Yeah.
quality. And that, I think, is like a mentality that anyone you work with in a creative capacity needs to have. It's what we're doing, we have to put in the work, because the art will stand the test of time and will live forever. And it's just a little bit of work to get
Yeah.
it done. But then these videos will exist for the rest of time. So he helps me in many ways like that.
Thank you, bro. You help and inspire me in many ways. Like it's not a coincidence that I put you into my movies. It's like just trying to capture, just as a filmmaker, trying to capture Nory's energy. And Ethan, have you seen him live?
Many times,
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So you know the energy that he, communicates on the stage, and his energy as an artist and as filmmakers. I think our whole like pursuit in art and life is to capture authentic things in the camera. And when I work with Norris, it's because he's the most authentic artist I know in New York.
Without a
And
doubt.
I'd much
Thanks,
rather
Max.
work with a non-actor that's authentic and has a lot of presence than, an actor that's just will follow orders. I want to this mutual inspiration. That's what I want out of working with someone, and I feel like I found that, and I think that's invaluable.
That's beautiful. I think it's so amazing when you can find a person that can inspire you in so many more ways than just the product you're trying to make, but as artists outside of the specific tailored art. That's really, really beautiful. And I'm happy that y'all have this creative partnership. I hope this is something that grows and continues to fester and turn into something larger and larger. So before we wrap up today, I wanted to kind of just ask, what's next after this project? What's the rest of the year looking like? What's next year looking like? What are you making?
My plan is to, because what we've released is only about 2% of all the videos that
Sure.
we've shot. So the real game,
We
as
have a
Eduardo
lot
says, yeah,
that we
is,
shot.
so I will continue to release and promote and do as much as I can to spread the gospel that we've created. And outside of the album, because I promise you, I do have a life outside the album. I've already been making a lot of music that I'm excited to sort of start piecing together. And really, for me, though, there is no outside of the album ultimately, because this album I want and hope to use as a platform to grow and continue to like redefine and sculpt the vision. So everything's going to relate to it, and I want the world building to continue, and I obviously hope to continue to work with Eduardo on that.
It's amazing. Amazing.
Mhm,
And Eduardo,
mhm.
outside of the album
But-
for you, what about you? What do you have going on?
Yeah. Like, that's so funny. It's like you never realize that musicians have like the next album already planned when like the album's out. They always have like so much
yeah.
music, and I've been fortunate to hear some of the next stuff that Nory's gonna put out, hopefully, and it's all amazing. And I'm like, whoa, you're changing it up. You're like, whoa. And it's really exciting. It's really exciting, especially to have this amazing stepping stone as this album will be. But for me, I just finalized this film called São Paulo, New York, which I shot back home in Brazil and here in New York. Just submitted to festivals. I'm currently submitting to festivals, and it's been an exciting time. I have just graduated, so I have a bunch of films that have accumulated, and I have like 4 films in post just ready to come out. They're basically all finalized, but just like with music, you have an album, you have to mix and master,
Yeah.
and then you have to like wait so long to put it out. So on this post, I'm in post hell right
Yeah.
now. basically, but I'm at the ending stages. But it's all really exciting because I'm excited for what comes up next. And I just know that it's gonna have to do with music, and Nory's gonna be involved somehow.
That's amazing, man.
Yay.
That's amazing. Your film, Sao
Yeah.
Paulo, New York, it's a short film?
It's a short. It's about an international student whose visa is expiring, and he needs to decide if he wants to stay in New York or go back to Brazil and deal with the life, the friends, the family he left behind. And it's very autobiographical, and it's kind of the situation I find myself in right now. And the funny thing is that I play the lead.
Nice.
So it's
It's
very
some Charlie Kaufman shit
yeah,
going
it's
on.
it was crazy.
Y'all, thank you so much. I don't want to keep you any longer because I know we've already been talking for a bunch. If you can, just let the audience know where they can find you, how they can follow you.
You can find me on Instagram at Dutchmac. That's Dutmac. It's a weird pronunciation.
You can find me at Nory Ehrenfeld on Instagram, NORYARONFELD, and you can hear the
Yes.
album. Fuck that, this the rhythm.
Follow both of these incredible creatives so you can keep up with their journey and keep up with Eduardo's amazing films and the art that they're making together, and Nory's amazing music, because Nory also plays live, not just in New York, but wherever the shows take him. So make sure you
Mhm.
go and
Period.
buy a ticket.
And he's
He's
amazing.
amazing. It is
I've been
transformative.
trying to get all my friends
Yes,
out.
there's not
Uh,
many independent
it is.
shows that I can actually go to and say, like, a lot of talented people, and I'm happy to know a lot of talented artists. But there's not a lot
Mhm.
of concerts that I go to for independent artists that I feel like are concerts. You know what I mean? Like when I go
Yeah.
buy $150 ticket to go see, I don't know, Kendrick Lamar, I'm expecting this like an experience, right? Or if I'm going to see a classic
Yeah.
rock band, it's an experience. When you go see Nory for fucking $15 in some random place in Brooklyn, he's gonna somehow make you feel you are spending
Mhm.
$150, and that
Oh, yeah.
is that's an experience. So go check him out before the
Dude.
tickets get
And
expensive.
catching him right now is like catching an artist at the start of his
Oh,
journey.
yeah.
So like you're gonna brag about this. You're gonna be a day one. Like
Oh.
it's very valuable to see him right now
Oh
at
yeah,
the start.
this is a gassing up Nory podcast. That's what this is.
Yeah, I feel gassed. Can I say
Yes.
one thing? First of all, gentlemen, the respect is so mutual. I admire both of your work, obviously, because I love working with you guys, and have had the privilege of doing so. I could go on a Ethan
Oh,
gassing
no,
session right
no.
now, but I just want to say, I think one message that I'd like to convey at the very end of this is am so grateful and so lucky to be able to surround myself with individuals like yourselves who push me forward, who have taught me so much, who have helped me in ways that I could never have dreamt of. And if you're an artist, whether you're a filmmaker or a musician, trying to find people who inspire you and who believe in you the same way you believe in them is the key to success. There's nothing more important in the whole scope of creating art and being successful or whatever. Having people around you that push you forward and who you also want to push forward is the most essential ingredient, I think, in anything.
I couldn't agree
anything.
more. Yeah, there's some shitty
Mhm.
people out there who are making some crazy huge art and are quote unquote successful, right? And I think that's because
Yeah.
the people they have around them. It is all about who you have around them. So yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. And Ethan, thank you for having us
course,
here.
of course,
Thank you
yeah.
for giving us a
Of
platform.
course. Anytime y'all want to
And
come back,
yeah.
please. Really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks, y'all. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of CK Café. As always, you can support CK Productions on social media at CK Productions NY. You can find all of our branches on there and all of the projects we're currently working on. If you want to support one of our feature films right now, we have an amazing campaign with Film Independent. We are fiscally sponsored by the largest film nonprofit in the world. By supporting this campaign, you're not just supporting Backyard Desert, our feature film, but you're also supporting Film Independent and their mission to uplift independent creatives and independent cinema throughout the whole world. So please go check out our campaign, and if you can, take some time right now. Go download Nory's project, stream Nory's project, support independent artists like Nory and Eduardo. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on CK Café. Bye, guys.